Welcome to Notable Approvals. I'm attorney Amanda Shaffer. Today we have another complex I-751 case to talk about. If you joined us yesterday, I said that this week we're going to focus on I-751s or petitions to remove conditions on residency, because this Thursday, September 3rd at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, myself and my co-host attorney Aaron Shapiro will be having a live Q&A discussion on I-751s on Facebook and YouTube. So I invite you to like us, follow us, set your reminder so you don't miss it. Today, our client is for a native and citizen of Poland, and she met her U.S. citizen husband in 2012. They're both in the film business. They're working on a film together. They started dating right away and eventually decided we're going to make a production company together. So they did that, and she then moved in with him, and they got married in 2013. Everything was great when they got married. He petitioned for her. She got her green card in 2015. They were married less than 2 years at the time of the interview, so she got a conditional green card. And again, everything was still going well. In fact, she was so close to his family that her in-laws had lived with them for about a year or so. But things started to get a little rocky in 2016, and it started with disagreements over how to run the business. Her husband was not being very respectful and was undermining her, and it got even worse because he started abusing alcohol. And there were nights where he drank so much that she had to actually not carry him, but help him walk home. So the alcohol abuse and the disagreements over business started to escalate and unfortunately turned into physical abuse. And one night I won't go into all the details, but he dragged her across the floor and strangled her, and she called the police. So the police come and she tells them what happened, and they say, okay, do you want to press charges? And like so many other domestic violence victims that are in her shoes in that situation, she was scared to say yes. She was scared to ruin his life. She was scared that she'd have nowhere to go. She was scared that she'd be punished further by him. So she said no, even though she really was in fear of her life and her safety. So she continues to live with him, even though things aren't good at this point. And it's now time to file the I-751. So they jointly filed the I-751. And then in 2017, her husband's behavior gets even worse. Like, it goes to another level of bad. It turns out that he suffers from a mental illness called schizophrenia, and he starts talking to himself. He won't take the medicine they prescribed him. He's even checked in to a hospital at one point. But essentially, she's still trying to make it work with him because she loves him. And then she gets a request for evidence in the mail. And the request for evidence, a very typical one for I-751s, says, you didn't give us enough proof that you have a real marriage. So she comes to us and she says, I don't know what else to submit. And, we could tell something's wrong with her. So we're like, what? Is everything okay? What's really going on? And at that point, she kind of breaks down and explains to us this abuse that she's been suffering, and that she's only stayed with him because she's afraid she's going to lose her green card. And that's when we told her, look, there's some good news here. You don't have to stay with a person like this. There is a way to keep your green card. You had a real marriage, and we're going to get you some help and help you get safe. So she eventually had the strength to leave. And in response to the request for evidence, we sent in a new I-751 petition, this time a self-petition requesting the waiver that her marriage was entered into in good faith, but she was subjected to extreme cruelty and battery during the marriage. We sent her to a psychiatrist to get some help. We put in lots of evidence of the abuse. She had pictures from that night that he really hurt her. She had witnesses that as well. We also had a domestic incident report from the police, even though charges weren't actually filed. So we replied to the RFE a few months later. It was approved, and she's already applied for citizenship, because if you file for the waiver based on abuse, for the I-751 waiver, you can apply for naturalization as if you were still married and living with the person. So you don't have to wait the full 5 years. After 3 years, you're eligible. So yeah, I mean, this is another good example of a situation that should teach us that you don't need to stay in an abusive relationship. Nobody should. Nobody has to. And if you're in the situation, you can go get help somewhere, and you should, because nobody deserves that. And we were really happy that we were able to get her out of that, get her life on track. And, you know, it just really pains me to see how many times someone comes into my office and is in the same boat. So if you're in this situation, please reach out to us. We're more than happy to help you. And don't forget, this Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Facebook, YouTube Live, we will be doing our Q&A discussion on I-751s. We will certainly be talking about this type of waiver in more detail, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you have. That's all today for Notable Approvals. Thanks for watching.